July 2nd, 2026, the President of the United States picks up his phone. He doesn't call a general, he doesn't call a senator, he doesn't call anyone with any power over national security, foreign policy, or the economy. He calls the president of a football organization. What he asked for, specifically, was to have a red card overturned, a disciplinary decision reversed, a rule, FIFA's own rule, quietly set aside. It took 4 days, 3 phone calls, and 1 press release written as though none of it was unusual. Here's the thing, it wasn't. Because what happened in July 2026 wasn't a scandal that came out of nowhere. It was the logical conclusion of something that's been building for decades, brick by brick, tournament by tournament, handshake by handshake, right in front of everyone. This is the story of how football's most powerful organization stopped pretending. February 26, 2016, Zurich. A Swiss-Italian lawyer named Gianni Infantino walks into a hall of 207 football officials and comes out as the most powerful man in world football. He's celebrated by buying beers for journalists in a Cardiff hotel bar. This is important context. The man buying those beers was not supposed to be in that room. His boss, UEFA President Michel Platini, was supposed to be running for FIFA president, but Platini had just been suspended after accepting an improper $2 million payment from the outgoing president, Sepp Blatter. So Platini's general secretary stepped in, a man whose name most football fans didn't know. A lawyer, a bureaucrat, a person who had, until 3 months earlier, been primarily known for expanding the Euros from 16 to 24 teams. He was sold to world football as one thing above everything else, the clean one, the reform candidate, the man who was going to fix what Blatter broke. But here's the question nobody asked loudly enough in that Zurich hall. What exactly had Blatter broken? May 27, 2015, Zurich, 6 a.m. Swiss police walked into the Bar Au Lac, one of the most expensive hotels in the city, and arrested 7 men while they were still in their rooms.
Just come along, buddy.
The U.S. Department of Justice had unsealed a 47-count criminal indictment. 14 people charged, $150 million in bribes, 24 years of fraud, racketeering, and money laundering, all running through football's governing body like a second circulatory system. FIFA officials had been selling broadcast rights, awarding hosting bids, and rigging votes for cash. South Africa reportedly paid bribes to secure the 2010 World Cup. The 2018 and 2022 bids were both under investigation. Sepp Blatter, 17 years as FIFA president, resigned within days. The scandal was so total, so documented, so large that it seemed impossible to survive. And then Gianni Infantino walked in, bought a round of beers, and the world decided football had been saved. Here's what nobody explains properly. FIFA wasn't broken because corrupt men had snuck into its corridors. FIFA was broken because the structure itself, 211 member nations, each with 1 equal vote regardless of size, money flowing in all directions from a $7 billion revenue pool, made corruption almost inevitable. Infantino didn't fix the structure, he just changed who was running it. Here's the difference between Sepp Blatter's corruption and Gianni Infantino's. Blatter's happened in hotel rooms, in cash envelopes, and conversations nobody was supposed to know about. Infantino's happens on camera. In 2018, Russia hosts the World Cup. There are legitimate questions about how Russia won the bid. The same Swiss prosecutors investigating FIFA had opened a criminal case into it.
The best World Cup ever.
Infantino attends, smiles, and calls it live, on record, the best World Cup ever. Vladimir Putin thanks him with the Order of Friendship, a Russian state honor, awarded to a man who runs international football. Infantino accepts it. In 2021, with Switzerland launching 2 separate criminal investigations into Infantino himself, he quietly moves his family to Doha, Qatar, rents a house, enrolls 2 of his daughters in school there. FIFA denies it for months. Then when a Swiss newspaper tracks his movements and publishes the evidence, FIFA confirms it. Infantino says he just wants to oversee the tournament preparations. His predecessor, the man who lost power in the corruption scandal, watches from the outside and puts out a statement. Sepp Blatter says Infantino is entering a dangerous relationship of dependency with Qatar. The man who was brought down by corruption is warning the man who replaced him about getting too close to power. Then comes November 19th, 2022. The day before the Qatar World Cup opens, Infantino holds a press conference. It lasts nearly 2 hours.
I feel deeply saddened by the criticism of Qatar.
He says he feels deeply saddened by the criticism of Qatar, a country whose officials eventually confirmed that between 400 and 500 migrant workers died on World Cup-related projects. A country where The Guardian documented over 6,500 migrant worker deaths in the decade leading up to the tournament. But this is not the part of the speech people remember.
Today I feel Qatari.
This is, today I feel Qatari. Today I feel Arab. Today I feel African. Today I feel gay. Today I feel disabled. Today I feel a migrant worker. Then, and I want you to really hear this, he explained why he felt all of those things. Because as a child, in Switzerland, he had red hair and freckles. 6,500 migrant workers. Red hair and freckles, the president of FIFA stood at a podium, on camera, in front of hundreds of journalists, and said those 2 things were comparable. Nobody in that room had the power to do anything about it because he runs football. Now here's the thing that makes 2026 different from everything that came before it. FIFA under Blatter took bribes. FIFA under Infantino doesn't need to. In 2022, Qatar, the 2026 cycle is projected to generate $13 billion. Not million, billion. That's nearly double what the Qatar cycle brought in. How? The World Cup expanded from 32 to 48 teams, 104 matches instead of 64. More games, more broadcast slots, more tickets, more sponsors. Those tickets, by the way, Category 2 seats for the final were listed at $7,380 each. And those hydration breaks Infantino introduced, the mid-game stoppages sold publicly as a health measure, Fox Sports turned them into premium advertising segments, charging up to $750,000 for a 30-second slot. The breaks that pause football for the players become uninterrupted revenue for FIFA and its broadcast partners. When you make $13 billion selling a football tournament, you don't need to take envelopes in hotel rooms. You restructure the hotel, then you charge people to sleep in it. And somewhere in the middle of this, in December 2025, Infantino stood next to Donald Trump and presented him with something called the FIFA Peace Prize, an award that, as far as anyone can document, had never existed before that day. An award whose creation appears to have been decided by one man, Gianni Infantino. Which brings us back to July 2nd, 2026. The phone rings. 3 times across several days, a red card given to a US player for stepping on an opponent's ankle becomes a presidential concern. Trump calls Infantino, tells him it wasn't a foul, tells him to review it. FIFA's own rules say national associations cannot appeal red cards during a World Cup. FIFA had told The Athletic this themselves. The rule was clear. 4 days later, one official on FIFA's disciplinary committee, not the full committee, just one man, reversed the decision. The other 17 members were not involved. The ban was lifted. Trump posted, "Thank you to FIFA for doing what was right." Infantino said the system had worked properly, and, in a detail that feels almost too neat to be true, around this same time US investigators quietly dropped their probe into financial fraud in global football, saying it no longer fits the Trump administration's priorities. The investigation into FIFA dropped. The same investigation that had begun with those hotel arrests in Zurich 11 years earlier, the criminal case that brought down Blatter, gone. Meanwhile, a referee from Somalia, Omar Abdulkadir Artan, was denied entry to the United States despite having a valid visa. The Trump administration claimed, without providing any evidence, that he had links to suspected members of terror organizations. He never got to referee at the World Cup. FIFA paid him in full and issued a statement saying they were deeply saddened. If that phrase sounds familiar, it's the same one they used about the migrant workers in Qatar. FIFA's always deeply saddened and always somehow fine. Here's the thing I want you to sit with. Sepp Blatter oversaw $150 million in bribes. He is banned from football for life. Gianni Infantino oversaw a tournament that will generate $13 billion. He earns $6 million a year. He has world leaders on speed dial. He is the most powerful man in the game. One of them did his corruption in secret. The other does his in public, and here is the most uncomfortable truth this video is trying to tell you. What FIFA is doing in 2026 is not more corrupt than what it did in 2015. It's just better at it. The money got so big that the corruption didn't need to hide anymore. It could incorporate, issue press releases, shake hands in front of cameras, call itself governance, and distribute itself through a $13 billion revenue cycle that trickles down to 211 football associations who all need FIFA's money to survive. When everyone depends on the system, nobody has an interest in breaking it. And that's the story of this World Cup. Not Spain versus Argentina, not Messi's farewell, not the goals or the records or the moments that will end up in the highlight reels. The story of this World Cup is that football's governing body had a president of the United States call 3 times about a red card and reversed it within 4 days. And the tournament went on, and the $13 billion kept coming. And Gianni Infantino posted a statement saying the system had worked exactly as intended. Maybe he's right. That's the part that should terrify you. This is The Third Man, the stories football doesn't tell itself. If this video made you angry, good. Drop a comment, tell me what you think, and subscribe if you think someone needs to keep saying this out loud.